Hey everybody, it's Mitch and welcome to my next video. Today we are going to be doing another Dungeons & Dragons race description. And today's race comes from the Expanded Psionics Handbook, and that is going to be the Xeph. Now, the Xephs are an interesting race. So we're going to talk about them here in a sec. We're going to talk about everything you want to know about and how to play them. You're going to learn about their personality, just the kind of people that they are in general, the kind of things you'll want to do when playing this character. But we're also going to talk about, well, the statistics, the numbers, how good they are in a build, how to potentially make them a good build around them. So we're going to be talking about both aspects because both are important for making a good character. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And of course, if you're new to the channel, I make these kinds of videos all the time. I do one on every single race. This actually is one of the last races I'll probably be doing, although there's a few that are going to be coming out later that have already been recorded. Anyways, also this on class and prestige class. So definitely check that out. And I've got some other D&D stuff too, if anyone's interested to know more about D&D. Because really, it's all about teaching people how to play Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. It's not a lot about that up. There's not a lot on that out there. So let's get into this, because today is all about the Xephs. So, Xephs, what are they? Well, they are they're a humanoid race. They look very much like a human. Really hard to see a clear distinction between them, in all honesty. They have dark hair, dark skin. That's them there at the end there. See? So that's them. That's what they look like. They have black hair. Sometimes they'll shave most of it and just put a little bun up top. But that's kind of how they look. Okay. On top of that, let's talk about how they react to people. What kind of personality they have? Well, they're very cheerful people. They don't particularly like combat. They will attempt to avoid combat if possible, but they're not going to shy away from it either. Like, if combat happens, that's how it's going to be. They're not going to be like, oh no, I'm going to be no. They're fighting, but they will attempt to avoid it if possible. They understand, hey, it's not all about fighting. We can try and work this out peacefully if possible. If that doesn't work, yeah, they'll fight. But yeah, so they're no pushovers. But let's see. These guys are wanderers by nature. Like, they like to travel and explore, and they're very free and open in their personality. Like, they're very... They've got a very free and open personality. Like, I don't know how much better to describe that. So, yeah, that's kind of how they react. They're generally a very good-natured people. They do lean towards good. They also lean towards chaos as well, which is interesting because their favored class is the Wilder, the Soul Knife, which I believe does require you to be lawful. So they will, those that do go the Soul Knife route, which is a lot of them because favored class, those will go lawful. So an interesting kind of mix match there, but that's just kind of an inherent part of the race, I guess, that they often go towards a class that doesn't whose alignment doesn't quite suit the race itself, the race's nature. But it's interesting. So let's see. They worship Obed High, like that's like their primary deity. Which, sorry, not Obed High. It's God of Nature. My bad. I always get him confused. Farlungen. I can't pronounce that for crap, but yes, the god of roads and travel, because they very much like to travel and explore. Like, that's something that's very big. They have their own language. They don't get their names till they're 4, which is interesting. and their last name is usually just the city they were born in to kind of root them back to where they came from. Yeah, especially seeing as they travel a lot. They get along well with humans and half-elves and halflings. They get along pretty well with all of them. They are a little bit mistrusting of like half-orcs and stuff. I mean, who isn't? Elves, they seem to be as too good to be true. Like they're like, something seems off. There's something a little too good about these guys. Is kind of their interpretation of them. As for dwarves, they do have some dwarf-like characteristics in that, like, if somebody wrongs somebody that they're close to, they will hold a grudge just like a dwarf will. They really don't like it when you mess with their friends, and they'll remember that. So that's something about them. In terms of adventuring, well, they're natural born adventurers, really. Like, in order to motivate a Xeph to adventure, usually it's like, hey, you wanna go travel? Yeah, sure. Like, they just want to travel. Like they're in it for that. Also, exploring new areas, learning new magic, learning new things for their crafts. That's always something that can be interesting. That's always something that can be interesting to them. Let's see. Just the thought of exploration itself. So they really like that. They're very free and very free people. Now, one interesting relationship that they have is with the Maniads. They find those guys to be way too stiff. Although they don't realize why the Maniads are so stiff. I talked about that in another video on my Maniads, so check that one out. But they don't understand why the Maniads are so stiff. But they do find that a little bit something they don't care for. Whereas the Maniads, they see the Xephs and they're like, wow, man, I wish I could be that carefree. Because they can't. They want to, but they can't. If you want to know why, check out the video on the Maniads. So that really goes over like a lot of the personality aspects. So if you want to play one, try and be open and carefree and all that happy stuff, and willing to accept, love of travel. You're carefree wanderer type. That's really what you want to kind of be going for when developing a personality for your character. Now, in terms of the statistics, let's get into that. So statistics, +2 dex, -2 strength. Okay, fairly standard stuff, similar to that of an elf, except their minus is on con. Medium, okay, pretty basic. Land speed 30, dark vision 60 feet, nice. +1 rate. This one's good. So they get a +1 racial bonus on all saves against powers and spells, which is big. More often than not, when you're making a saving throw, it's because someone cast a spell against you, or I guess manifested a power if you're doing heavy psionics. So the fact that you get a +1 to all saving throws against all powers and spells that are cast on you, that's big. That's almost as good as just a +1 to all saves. It's not quite, because I mean there's still some things like notably poison you're not going to get this +1 to, but most things other than that are going to be, say, especially the harder saves and the ones with greater consequences, more often than not will be from opposing spellcasters casting things on you. So this is really big. I mean, there's traps and stuff too. You're not going to get them from that. So if it's a trap-heavy dungeon or whatever, you're not going to get them for a lot of traps. Not all. Magical traps, you'll still get it because they're based in spells. So those are just basically spells that are triggered based off of magical items, typically. So the magical traps, you'd still get it, but your mundane traps, you won't. But again, the things you don't get it for, a lot of the mundane traps tend to have lower save DCs, and they also tend to be not so bad if you fail. So, you know, you're protected against the common stuff and against the worst stuff for the most part. So really, really big. Let's talk about the next thing. Naturally psionic. So they get 1 power point, which helps them qualify for some psionic feats if you want to take them. They get burst. Now burst is interesting. So 3 times per day, they can just increase their movement speed. It starts out at first level as just 10 feet. 5th level will go up to 20, and then at 9th level it will go up to 30 feet. And then it will stop going up after that. And it just goes up for, I think, just 1 round. No, 3 rounds. So it lasts for 3 rounds. Wow, it's even better than I thought. So 3 times per day you can do this, and it'll give you 3 rounds of movement. Sorry about the little reading there. So really awesome. Can definitely be useful in a number of builds. Automatic languages, Common and Xeph. And bonus languages, Draconic, Elven, Gnoll, Goblin, Halfling, and Sylvan. Okay, decent list there. And favorite class, Soul Knife. So, and no level adjustments. So not bad. They definitely get some advantages. I mean, the +2 to Dex, not bad. There's a ton of other races that also give +2, like elves, halflings, just, you know, right off the bat, to name a couple. Actually, the bonuses that they get are identical to halflings now that I think about it. The only real difference between them and halflings is that halflings, well, they are, yeah, the halflings are small. That's kind of the big difference there, whereas these guys are medium. Yeah. Sorry about the crazy change there. It's getting a little dark, so had to change some settings. Anyways, so what else did these guys get? Let's see. Or not. So how could you use this in a build? How could you use a Xeph in a decent build? Well, Soul Knife, there's a few ways to make that work. It's not one of the better classes in the game, but you know, it's a requirement to get into one of the better prestige classes, so that's something. So there's a few prestige classes that really rely on Soul Knife that are pretty good. Also, you know, that spell resistant, that +1 to saves against all spells and powers, that's really solid. That's some of the better stuff you could ask for. So yeah, definitely good. Let's see, what else is there? Not a whole lot I can think of, really. They might be decent for a monk build, just because, you know, the whole burst can get you that extra 30 feet movement, which will stack with the monks because this is a competence bonus, whereas the monks, it's an enhancement. So this will stack with everything like haste and all that. So that can actually be really, really nice to get that extra 30 feet of movement, which just stacks and it just works with everything. Which there's really not a lot of ways to get that. So if you really want to be fast, really quick, this is kind of one of the better ways to do it. Yeah, especially seeing as, you know, you can still take things like monk and whatnot to really get those buffs as good as possible. Yeah, there's not a whole lot more to say about the Xephs in terms of builds. There's, you know, they can definitely be used, but yeah. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. That definitely helps out. Definitely check out some of the videos that I got. I got more videos right over there, so click on those. And, you know, subscribe to the channel. That definitely helps. I think I'm pointing to the right spots. If I'm not, well, guess I'm looking like a dummy. But anyways, yeah. Anyways, as always, oh yeah, and leave a comment below because I love hearing from you guys. What am I thinking? Comment, because I really love talking to you guys. I do my best to reply to every comment. So yeah, definitely do that. Anyways, as always, I'm Mitch, and I'll be seeing you